Evie from Kelly J Jewellery. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make these huge earrings, quite statement earrings this week. I'll put a list of everything that you're going to need in the description below. So let's get to it. Oh, and a quick shout out to my patrons over on Patreon. Thank you for your support. I'll put all your names on the screen if you'd like to support me. Nip on over to Patreon. There's a few different options you can choose from for different benefits. So I'll see you there. To make these earrings, you'll need 0.7mm wire, which is 21 gauge. I'm opting for the slightly smaller, thinner wire because these earrings are going to be hopefully quite small. So I've cut 8 lengths at 9 inches, which is 23 centimetres. Now, I started off cutting some weaving wire. So I've cut 0.25mm, opting for the slightly thinner wire, 30 gauge, and I've cut 300 centimetres. If you want to use weaving wire, then I recommend you use that. I'll just wrap mine onto a bobbin. That's a Bobeeze bobbin by Beadsmith. But since I've been looking at different things online, I want to have a go with using some half round wire. So I'm sticking with my round and I'm adding some half round. So I may not use that at all. But if you don't have half round wire, then you can use the weaving wire and that'll be fine. So I'm gonna aim to use, and whether I will or not, you will see from what I write on the screen. So I've got 24 half round wire and I've cut 2 lengths at 12 inches, and I've got 21 gauge half round wire and I've cut 1 length at 6 inches, 2 lengths at 3 inches, and then 1 length of 15 inches. So that's 39 centimetres. If you don't have all the half round gauges, then just stick with the weaving wire. It'll look the same. But I'm just gonna go on a little adventure with some half round wire with this one and we'll see how it goes. Right, so you'll need 2 little stones. Mine are round, mine are 10mm. I'd say you can use a different shape if you want to, but it will compromise the design a little bit because I want to have those gaps above and below the stone there, so it is best to use a round stone for this one. I've got a selection of small beads. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to be using, so again I'll put that on the screen. I've got 2 little jump rings. These are a bit smaller than what I'd normally go for. I thought they'd be quite cute with these earrings because I'm hoping they're not going to be too big. So those are about 6mm outside measurement. Anything that kind of size will do it. And of course you're going to need a couple of ear wires. I use titanium wire when I'm making my ear wires because it doesn't react with the skin, so it's ideal for ear wires, not very ideal for jewellery as it's a bit hard to work. So you can always buy some and just keep it for ear wires. Right, tools: pliers, round nose pliers, wire cutters, nylon pliers. I just broke my nylon pliers, I can't believe it. I broke that little bit off in there, gutted. They're not going to feel right now, and it's always the cheap ones that break, isn't it? So these Tronex have never let me down. These Tronex have been going for a long time now, and there's no breakages or anything going on there. I do recommend Tronex if you just want to buy one set of tools and never have to replace them. They are really good. So my favourite ones are the needle nose ones. You can see the number on there, and I'll put a list of all these in the description below. I'm not sponsored by anybody, so it's all my personal opinion. So cut your wires to the lengths that I have. It is best to make both earrings at the same time so we can keep matching them as we go. So we'll take 4 of the 8 wires and we'll start the first one. So find the center kind of point of those wires. So you want a little bit of length at the beginning. And pull that wire around and around. Good old nylon pliers. Can't believe I broke them. So keep going until you're kind of out of wire. Make sure it's quite central. And we grip that halfway across, sort of to the right of the halfway point. Bend it. You want to bend it quite a lot. So that's my wire from the beginning, isn't it? So I'm going to pop a bead onto that, and that comes over the middle. Squeezing it together a little bit at the tip, and then I'm pulling those wires out a little bit just after that. Bend. This little tail end from the beginning goes across the middle, and we pop a little bead on there. That's a 3mm bead. So that goes across the middle there, and then that wire goes over the side and around that side, and we'll go around a couple of times. Hold that bead in place. Squash it down. We know I'm off the screen, it's hard to do it being this close, and then we're just going to cut off all these ends. That end needs to fold over the back, and then press that around, so that end is done. And then this end needs to cut to finish at the back as well. Press that around at the back too. So these wires scoop out a little bit because they're then going to go around the stone. So our stone is going to fit there, so that needs to come out a bit more. And we need to do the other one. So make two exactly the same so far. So I'm going to do a little join on each side. So take your 3-inch length of half round. If you're using weaving wire, then you just need to do whatever weave you did across the bottom here, you need to do it here as well. So if you're using weaving wire, choose a weave to do over 4 wires. I've actually done a tutorial with lots of different weaves, so you could pick one of those and then do that weave at the bottom, bend it, add your bead, and we'll do it here too, so then you can add your same weave here about this far up, and we'll just wrap around the whole thing. And then you need to take your other 3 inches. I'm going to do, is that about 6? Flatten them down, press them together. Cut off your wires so your ends are at the back, and then press those down, and do that for the other side as well. And seeing as we're doing them both at the same time, you could always weave on the other one too, or wraps if you're doing it with half round. So we need one of these on the other side, and you could do that for the other one as well. So I did that on both of them. I need to scoop these out a little bit. Next we'll fit the stone. Okay. So these wraps need to be on the sides of the stone. and then the wires come around and cross above. Now with this particular design, okay, they're not going to be as small as I planned, they're going to be quite big. I want quite a long gap above the stone there. I'm just bending the wires out at the top and then I'll show you. So these need to be kind of central. The stone goes in the middle. And the wires come together at the top, and I want this huge gap at the top. So I'm just going to adjust these until it's right. So I just adjusted the top a little bit. So if that'll stay there a second. From where the wires meet at the top to the bottom there is about 4. It's a bit less, it's about 3.5. 1.5 inches. So we'll do that. I say we do that to the other one. Let's just attach it together first. So you've got that nice long gap above and below. That's the idea. Okay, right, so next 21 half round. Again, if you're using weaving wire, grab that. We're going to join the wires together and we're going to wrap where the wires join, trying to hold them all together there. And then I'm going to take the tail end and I'm going to take that around that one side. So you're kind of locking that end down. We'll take the 2 back wires actually to come out this side here. And then we'll bring all the other wires together. Really push them down at the base. Bring your half round wire up and carry on going around those middle wires. Now if you want, you can turn the whole thing around instead of going around with your wire like I am. But you can't do that when you're stuck for space behind the camera. And then we're going to take 2 wires from this side. There. And 1 from this side. We're going to bring over here. Push it right down. Bring all your other wires together still. So you've got 3 wires left in the middle. And we're still going around those wires there. Just wiggling mine down a little bit. Do, what shall we say, 4. And then take another one over to that side. So now we've got 3 coming out one side and 3 coming out the other. We've got 2 going straight up. We're going to take the half round wire and we're going to carry on wrapping. Now we're going around the 2 wires and keep going. So I've added wraps for another 2.5 centimeters, which is about 1 inch after that last wire has come out. This wire from the beginning can be cut. I pushed it around again. I'm going to cut that at the back and press that around. I just fancied a change with all these half round wires. I think they'll give a slightly different look. Makes nice tape. So we'll do all this to the other one. And I was going to say jump back and do the same thing, but we want to do a mirror image. So we'll do it. So shape it around the stone and get those wraps to the side of the stone as we did for the other one. To match up the height, get it the same, of course you can measure it if you want to, or you can just compare the size to the other one. And adjust if you need to till you've got them both to be roughly the same kind of size. So then we'll join it together. So take your 15 inches of the half round and we'll go around the whole thing. So if you're using your weaving wire, you still need to do these wraps with your weaving wire to attach it together. And then you can add weaves if you want to. I definitely recommend weaving when you do, you know, when you've got the last 2 wires and you're just weaving that last bit of rail. Definitely weave up that bit if you're using the weaving wire. I'm just pulling the tail end around that side. Right, so doing the opposite to what we did before. So we started off with 2 wires to the right. So we need to start with 2 wires to the left, and they need to be the back too. So we're copying it exactly. So we push those 2 over, bring the rest together, and then we carry on around. So the front is where the bead is. The bead is at the front. I'm just thinking, oh, am I looking at the backs? So the bead is to the front out on that side, and we take 2 out on this side. So we've got 2 out on this side and 1 out on that side, and then we go around. So we go around 4 times, and then we take 1 out on this side. So we've got 2, 1, 2, 1. So we've got 3 wires coming out on each side. And then we keep going around these top 2, and we just keep going around. So keep going until it's the same length as the other one. Just making sure these wires are all straight here. And I did have to cut that end off, we left that from earlier. So make sure the stone fits. Get those wraps quite nice and central. We'll turn to the back to start with. We're going to grip this wire, the back wire. We're going to twist it, whoops, in. So the stone flew out and I nearly threw it. Then we'll grab the wire on the other side and twist that one in. Hold on, that way. And we're going to do the same with the top wires, so grip it as low down as you can, just the one wire. It's probably best to make a little gap between those wires so we can get to it. Bend it in, one big twist. And this side, just the back wire, one big twist. Turn it to the front, and we need to do the same thing at the front. So make a little gap between those wires, all 4, and we'll pull them all in the same. So then we want to grip just that one top wire and make sure your stone is definitely in there. And we're going to twist that wire, big twist, so it comes over the edge of the stone there. And we'll do that with all of the ends. Big twist over the edge of the stone there. Do it for the other side too. I really love how that looks and how it holds onto the stone. So after you've done that, just give it a little squeeze. Make sure you're pressing those bends against the stone and press all the wires in a little bit, just where those bends are, so it grips it nicely. These are going to be lovely. And we'll do that to the other one. So I fitted the other stone the same. So that is the fiddly bit over. The next bit, that's the fun bit. So from here on it'll be a lot more fun. Now we've got the awkward bit out the way. Aren't they pretty? I really love how that's held in there. Please mention me when sharing your finished work online made from my tutorials. I really appreciate it if you would. Please don't share images of the back or in progress, as it gives the design away. I would prefer for people to come here and watch my videos. So thanks to everyone in advance. So next we're going to shape the bail. So above this last wire, so about here, we're going to bend the bail over the front. So here at the top of where the last wire is, I'm going to bend it back, and then I'm going to take these two wires through the gap at the top of the stone there. And then I'm going to pull it down a little bit. I don't need it to go back quite that far. So I'm pulling it down and I'm just pressing the weave together there to make a little braid at the top. And then I'm going to part those wires. Try and get it nice and central. So then you want these wires, when it's where you want it to be, to come over the side. And then I'll pull this one around too. Over and through. And we need to cut this wire too. Just make sure your bail is nice and straight. And we should have 3 wires coming out to each side. So do that for the other one too. Make sure your stone's still in there nice and securely. Adjusting these wires at the top here, you may have pulled them apart a bit. So just give it a little squeeze. So looking at these right wires, we're going to take the middle one. So this one's got to pull down, hasn't it? So that's my middle one. So I'm going to take the middle wire and another length half. So this is the 24. So this is slightly thinner half round. You can use weaving wire if you prefer. So I'm just going to add coils to the middle wire to put in the flat side against. I'm just going to wrap around and around, adding coils to that middle wire. The base wire is quite thin, so it may bend, so you need to be gentle. So I've coiled about 4 centimetres, roughly. And because the base wire is so thin, if you want to push it together, you have to hold it and just push the end in a little bit so the wire doesn't bend. Do you know what I mean? Cut that off, that tail end from the beginning while we can still get to it. And slide that down, right the way down to the base. So that was the right side, so that's the lower wires on the right side. So on the other one is the left side, so the lower wires on the left. You want that middle wire, and we're going to add coils to that one too. If we do them both at the same time, we can keep matching them up. So add 4 centimetres of coils to this wire too. Pulling that down a bit more. So we've got that left side coiled. So next we take this front wire and we're going to push it down at the base, and we're going to scoop it over the other way. So I'm bringing it over the front of that bail there. Out to the side. And then I'm going to take the coiled wire, making sure that's really pushed down. Push that down at the base. Scoop that one over the same. Bring it around to follow that wire. And then this wire is going to come over so it sits a little bit higher, and that comes out to follow too. So we've got 3 wires, and now you can see the importance with where the wire positioning is. And then these 3 come around the side of the stone there. So at this point you need to work out if you've done enough coils. These 3 wires are going to go through that gap there, so the coils need to reach to the bottom of the stone there. So it looks like I've done exactly the right amount of wraps. If you need to add a few more, then do that. So I showed you how to do this one, and then I showed you how to do this one, and then I realised it wasn't actually recording. So I can't show you because I've already done it, But what we do is, we do exactly the same as we did here to this one. So you take your 3 left wires now, starting at the bottom, you scoop this one over. So as you bring it over nice and tight so you're not doing too big of a curl, and you try and match it up to this one. It's quite a shallow shape. And then you bring your coiled wire over to follow, bringing it nice and tight next to that wire. Bring your top wire over a little bit higher, bring that over to follow. Then you bend them around the side of the stone, and then carefully you're holding the top here so you don't misshape these. You pull all 3 away a little bit, bend the ends, feed the ends through, carefully pull them through, repositioning these 3 wires. So you cut the first 2 off and squeeze them around here, and then the last one you pull it over this side, cut it off here, and then press it around into place. I can't believe that wasn't recording. I've just done all that and it wasn't even going whatsoever. So then you've got to mirror image of each other. And I'll make sure I'm recording when I do the next left wires, the ones that are higher up. I'll start on this one first. I've lost track which one I did first now. I'm going to add a weave just to give it a bit of something different. So I am going to use a bit of that weaving wire from earlier. I'll add that on the screen at the beginning. So you're going to need a bit of weaving wire. I'm using the 0.25 because this base wire is quite thin. I'm using the 0.25, which is 30 gauge, and I'm going to weave across these 2 wires that are closer together. We'll leave that one out for now, and we'll just weave on these 2. So we'll start with 3 wraps around the top wire. Slide that down. Probably hear our Grace snoring. And then we go 3 wraps around the 2 wires. So you want them to be quite close together really. So that's our repeat. 3 wraps around the top wire, followed by 3 wraps around both wires. I feel really annoyed that that didn't record then. I really took my time with it too. Never mind, carry on. If you turn it over so you've got the back facing you, it's actually a bit easier to weave. It's easier to get to, and your wraps are around the bottom wire now because you've turned it around. Just might make it a bit easier to do. As you're weaving as well, stop every few repeats to push it all together. So push the weave together, and then you can hold the wires and pull the weave down so it's all nice and tight woven together. We've done. There is a curve in the weave, about 2.5 centimeters. So that's 15 repeats of that weave. I'm going to cut that little tail end off while we can still get to it. Pushing this top wire to the back a little bit. Try and get rid of my weaving wire too. Hold on. Go away. We're going to take this weave, push it down a bit. We're going to scoop it over so it comes over the bail. It comes over to this side. So So we're going out to this side. And I want it to come down to here, and it's just going to stop here. So I need to add a few more repeats just to get that weave to come down to there. So I've added a few repeats, and you do have to keep pushing it together as you go. This is then going to bend in to there. So I want a nice scoop coming in. I think I'm going to have to cut that weaving wire. So then I'm going to take these two wires. I'm holding that front shape so I don't pull it out of place. Take these two wires through above the stone, through to the back. Careful when you push it through that you don't pop your stone out. Carefully pull the wires, reposition them at the front here. And when they're where you want them to be, just going to give them a little straighten. I am going to cut that weaving wire off. Just make sure you're finished with 3 wraps there so it stays in place. Try and press down that little cut end. So next we need to take this top wire, pushing it down a bit at the base. I'm going to scoop it around to follow, coming off a little bit higher at the top there, over the bail a little bit, and then we're going to scoop in, going in between those two. We're going to scoop in to follow those two like that. And then this wire is going to go through the same as those. So I'm going to pull it forward a little bit, bend the end around, take the end through, above the stone, above those wires, and then as I pull it through the back, reposition it at the front there, gently give it a wiggle and bring it back into place slowly. Before we do, this wire keeps moving, so I'm just going to bend this wire around. So I'm going to hold it to the front and I'm going to bring it over the front there, and then I can squeeze it around and that will keep it in place at the front. Right, I'm happy. We'll carry with the other one. So we're going to add a weave to these two bottom lower wires. We'll move the top one up out the way for now, and we'll weave across these two. So the weave is 3 wraps around the bottom wire this time. Put it all the way down. And then we do 3 wraps around the 2 wires. So 3 wraps around the bottom wire, 3 wraps around the 2 wires. Keep pushing it together as you go. So we did a few more repeats than I did before. So if I did 15 repeats before, I've just done 20. So this is going to come over, so we'll press it down at the base and scoop it over. Now matching it up to this one, it comes up nice and high and scoops over. So high but not too high according to the top of the bail. So it comes up higher than these wires, but it doesn't come up to the top of the bail. My weave's twisting a little bit. And it scoops out to that side. It's so strange the way the two, when you're doing earrings, you never do two the same. It always looks so different. Which way is this going to go now? Like that. Over the bail a bit, go on. So this loop seems really tiny, but I don't want it to go any higher on that bail because there's lots of bail showing at the top there. So adjust it until you're happy. Right, it doesn't come across the bail that much and it tips a little bit that way. So then we're going to pull it away a little bit, bend those wires, don't let them cross over each other, post them through. And then carefully pull them around to where you want them to be. And we're going to take the next wire, scoop that one over, comes over a little bit higher. Down in the gap, push it around to follow, like that. And then that one bends and goes through. I'm going to hold that there, post him through. Reposition that wire. I want it to be in between those wires and I want it to be up against those as it pulls around, and it comes over above those. I can't seem to hold on to it. Hold on a minute. Gotcha. Then holding it in place, I'm going to pull that one over the front so it stays there. There we go. So we've got two wires here and this one wire that comes over. So this wire here, I'm going to cut that off short and just bend it around those wires there so it goes over the side, and compress that around there. This wire is going to come over to follow that one. So I'm going to bring it up to meet it. Then it's going to scoop out like that. That one is going to follow it. They're very short wires, so we have to be careful here. Looking at the other one, so this wire comes straight across. The middle one, cut the middle one off, bending that over. Keep checking to make sure it's recording, because I keep thinking it tricked me last time. It did the little sound and it didn't record. Then this one comes over to follow that one, and it scoops around, it comes back out, and that one also comes around to follow. This one doesn't want to play nice. That's it. So these two wires are going to come over the side. Little bit of a gap between them as they sit there, I like that. And they're going to go over the back. So then we need to make sure the front's pressed down. So as they go over the back, they've kept that nice shape. Told you this one didn't want to play nice. Then at the back, they just bend over the sides. So holding the side there, so I'm holding them in place at the front. Bend them over that side, above the stone, and then press them around those side wires. And give them a good squeeze so they really pinch onto them side wires. Well, that was a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. Cute though. You could definitely do one as just do the one as a pendant. So finish off the other one the same, look over them and make sure they're all nice. So I finished this one and I much prefer the shaping here on the front of this one, but as I went around the side, my wires was too short, the one wire was. So instead of hooking over the side, I've actually wrapped them around that back wire there to hold it. So I will recommend you start with a slightly longer wire than me. You need to make sure as well, if you do hook onto any wires, that it still comes over the stone and it's not going to compromise the stone being held in there. Well, they didn't end up being small at all. They're really big. I really love them. I think they're lovely. They're definitely like big pendants though. So we need to attach the ear wires and the little jump rings at the top, unless you wanted to make them into pendants. It's up to you. Beautiful. I'm going to run and oxidise these. I will take these little ear wires off just while I oxidise them, and I'll be right back to show. So there we have it finished. I've oxidised mine. If you'd like help oxidising yours, I've done videos on oxidising and aftercare. I've done a few. I'll put links to those in the description below. I hope you managed to follow this tutorial okay. I didn't cause too much confusion, and I will see you all very soon in the next one. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye. Bye.